Hi, welcome back. In this video, we'll be talking about one of the data structures, primitive data structures or variable types, which we refer to as numbers. So numbers is a data type in Python that can be split into two, integers and floats. This is a data structure that is used to store numeric values. For example, it can store values like 5, 6.21, negative 5,000, 0.002, 9877777, and these numbers can be stored as integers or floats like I did mentioned earlier. We can look at some examples of this even in this video that I'm presenting to give you greater insight into how numbers are and how they are used in Python. Let's begin with integers. Integers or ints in Python are positive or negative whole numbers with no fractional components. By using built-in functions in Python such as type, you can determine if a type or if a number is of type integer or float. You can also convert from integer to float and vice versa. Floats, as mentioned earlier, is another type of numerical data structure that is used to represent real numbers, and it's written with decimal points dividing the integer from the fractional parts. So here is a way to check if a data type is actually numerical, if it's actually integer or float. Simply use the keyword type and put in the number in a curved bracket. When you run this cell, this gives int. It's telling you that this particular object you have typed into the keyword type is actually an integer. When you come over to the next cell, we have 4.5, and I want to get the type of the number in the bracket 4.5, and Python returns float, which says this is an integer and here is a float. So if I mistakenly wrap 5 around a double quote or single quotes, then Python will no longer identify this as an integer, but rather it will recognize it as a string. Can you see? So str here stands for represent string. So whenever you want to present or type in string in Python, all you need to do is to wrap the content around double or single quote. So let's take out our quote since we are interested in working with numbers and not strings for now. So that is run the cell again, it returns an int now. So that is how to check the type of data structure or data set that you're working with. Okay, let's now move on to floats to integer to float. This is how to convert from integer to float. By simply calling the name float or the keyword float 5, that will help convert the integer 5 to a floating number 5.0. And you find some area of applications where you would need to convert from float to int or for int to float as you continue with your data analytics experience. Next is float to int. Simply call int on a float. Now what this does is to give you the integer part of the number and ignoring or neglecting the decimal number. Even if it's say a number that is about 4 points, of course 4.9 is the highest, right? It's one of the higher number. Even if it is 4.95 and it doesn't round off, it doesn't round up, neither does it round down. It only truncates the other decimal fraction of the number and returns just the integer part of the number. So that is what int does. So, and that is how to convert from int to float and float to int. And I hope with this video you understand the difference between integer and floating number or data type in Python. Alright, that'll be all for now. I'll see you again in the next video where we'll start performing some mathematical calculations using Python. I hope you are enjoying it so far. So far so good. This is where we're going to draw the curtain. Thank you and see you in the next one. Goodbye.